I guess you're live.
Yep. All right. Good morning and welcome to another episode of Chat with a Cop. I am your host, Sergeant Mike Medlin, and today we have two special guests. We have Corporal Judy Benitez and her canine, Scooby. So we brought these on today because we have... we like to consider these local celebrities because they recently placed first in the canine trials. But before we get to that, I want Corporal Benitez to go and tell us a little bit about yourself. How old are you?
I'm
21.
I'm older than you.
21.
That's all I'm going to say.
No, in all seriousness, why did you get in law enforcement?
I've always had an interest in law enforcement, and I guess I did other things thinking that it wasn't a police officer I wanted to be. I was in public safety. I was a telecommunicator, dispatched 911 calls, and dispatched police, fire, and EMS. I did that for 7 years. Then I went and worked at the school, and I worked in a couple of the places just as customer service, and ultimately I always was the go-to person if you needed help. And that's really my drive and my passion is I like to help and I like to be involved in things. And ultimately working as a civilian in the police department, it really made me head in that direction and start training myself and going to school to pursue the law enforcement career.
All right, very cool. So how long were you a police officer before you got Scooby?
Let's see, I've been with Scooby since 2017. I was a police officer for almost 6 years until I got Scooby.
Okay, very cool. And Scooby, that's kind of an odd or unique, I guess you might say, name. How did we come up with the name Scooby? Like, this is Scooby-Doo, right? Like.
It's actually Scooby, S-K-U-B-I, but if you know his personality, you know that he is Scooby-Doo. Mm-hmm. Scooby loves food. He is very food-driven, and that is why I say he lives up to his name. He has a few quirks where vacuums and fans scare him. Another reason why he lives up to his name. But actually, Scooby was named in Poland, where he came from, and I attempted to change his name, but after I started interacting with him and getting to know him, Scooby was a good fit for him, and I decided that that was the name he needed to stay with. And he's Scooby-Doo for us.
Scooby-Doo. So, if I'm not mistaken, we had a poll sent out, and we were getting the town members of or citizens, I should say, of the town,
Input.
to give us suggestions on the names that we should go with. And, you know, I remember some of them were pretty funny. Do you remember any of them?
A lot of them were geared towards the town.
Okay.
Like Garner, Trojan.
Wait a minute, someone said Garner should be his name? Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool.
Well, they are pretty cool. Another thing you consider when naming your dog is we give commands, and their name sometimes is part of that command. So you want to make sure that the name is not going to sound like the command, or that it involves, I guess, too many syllables as you're saying the name. So that's why, again, Scooby fit, and we kept it. And some people actually suggested it as well, but they suggested the S-C-O-O-B-Y. So, again, yeah, we had some pretty cool ones, I will admit. I can't remember a lot of them off the top of my head, but, you know, there's always the superhero ones that came in, Thor, Odin, just names like that were coming in, which were on my list as well, but like I said, he matched his Scooby name.
Gotcha. And you said he came from Poland.
Yes, he came from Poland.
And when you got him, what kind of training had he already had?
Basic, very basic training. He also came to us being trained in a different language. And here at Garner, we train our dogs in English. So he had basically like very, very little sit down kind of rules, but he was just being introduced to like environments. pretty much. He didn't have any police training yet.
Okay. Very cool. And then Scooby lives with you, correct?
Correct.
And you have other dogs.
I do.
That are totally not Scooby and totally not police trained at all. And how does he interact with those dogs?
Scooby loves dogs.
Yeah.
If we're in the car and we see another dog down the street, Scooby will whine because he wants to get out and play. Mm-hmm. He is definitely a dog lover. He loves to play and he interacts well with other dogs. If a dog is an alpha and wants to claim territory mm-hmm. or dominance, he just goes the other way. He's not. I say he's a lover, not a fighter. Mm-hmm. But he gets along with my dogs very well. Actually, our wiener dog is the alpha of the house, and Scooby obeys to that.
Which is so funny because there is a big size difference.
There is a big size difference, and he's very much a couch potato, but he is the oldest one in the house, and I think therefore is why he's claimed that throne. And like I said, Scooby's very respectful of the other dogs. He plays with them, but when they say enough is enough, he stops. So.
Very cool. And how old is Scooby now?
Scooby is 5. He is going to be 6 in November.
Oh, okay. And I hear him chomping on something. What does he have in his mouth right now?
His favorite toy, his Kong. That's actually his training toy. And I allowed him to bring it in here so he can be a little more relaxed. So he can be focused on something other than our water bottles and what's going on back here.
And I know we've done Canine in the past. We've talked about Canine, but for those who didn't get a chance to tune in before, the Kong is very important when it comes to training a dog, correct?
Correct.
And can you just talk a little bit about how you guys train as far as, because it's all a game to them. That's the ultimate prize, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
They want their toy. In the Garner sense, they want their toy. We train with toys. We don't train with food. So therefore, when we train them, as soon as they acknowledge what it is we want them to do, they quickly get rewarded with their toy. Mm-hmm. So anytime they see their toy, if we're out and about and I pull out the toy, he's like, oh, I'm going to do something. I'm going to get my toy. So that's what drives them. These dogs are very driven, very high strung, and all they want to do is get their toy, play, mm-hmm. interact. So yeah, that is why, and we use the red one. I think I have another Kong, but for some reason this particular Kong, he knows what it is. I have a black one, and then I have this round one that has holes on the side, but he knows this one is work, and when he sees it, he knows it's time.
So that actually leads me into a question that we just got in from our viewers. It says, how do you keep him in shape and active so he's always ready to work?
Well, we don't overfeed our dogs. Scooby develops a little bit of acid reflux, so he is one of the ones that gets fed in the morning and in the evening. So his meals are proportioned. Mm-hmm. We also do... Not in this heat because you have to protect their paws and you also have to protect them from heat exhaustion. But on my days off, I'll take him to a greenway and we'll do 3 or 4 miles. Also throwing the toy whenever at work, if I don't have time to go exercise him, exercises me going to the park and just throwing that Kong for him and he fetching for a few minutes. Also our training, a lot of our training is both of us moving. So that's how he stays fit. Basically, limit the food, make sure they have enough to stay healthy and be able to perform, but also not enough to indulge, and we limit the snacks and the treats. Actually, I don't really give him treats because they're not used to it, so whenever you do change things, they do get he does have a sensitive stomach. So to try to avoid that, we normally just stick to the same routine. Okay. But basically, he does need to move because if not, he gets very antsy. Mm-hmm. So that's why we either go for walks, jog, throw the toy around, or he just plays in the backyard.
Okay, and I'm assuming Scooby is good around kids and
yes.
other adults. I mean, I think a lot of misconceptions a lot of times police dogs get is that they're always aggressive, right? Because when you see TV shows and you see, police dogs, getting a bite on a suspect, which, that is part of the job sometimes, unfortunately. But they're not always like that, right? So this dog is super sweet and super nice and will only bite if you give the command, correct?
Correct. It has to, you have to look at the dog's temperament, which is something that we do when we go test them out before we actually commit to them. That is very important. There are dogs that come with more, they're more prone to want to bite. They're more alpha, more aggressive. But that's the stuff that you can also handle throughout the training if they're trainable dogs, which is why we are very picky and not picky, but selective. We do our homework before we just go get a dog. You have to know the family line, where they're coming from, what they've been exposed to. So yeah, Scooby has a mild temperament. There can be fireworks in here. He would still be doing the same thing. He just doesn't mind that stuff. There are other dogs that will trigger by it. But again, that's where the training comes in, where you expose them to that and you train them to a behavior that you want them to learn. So
cool. We actually have a special question here from a special person. So first of all, shout out, hello, Clarice.
Oh.
Say hello.
Hello.
It says, hey guys, Judy, what do you think is the absolute most challenging part about having Scooby as your partner? So what's the most challenging part? We've heard a bunch of good things about Scooby, and I know before this live started, we talked about how big of a knucklehead he is. But really, what's the most challenging part about being the canine handler with Scooby?
I think the biggest challenge is that sometimes my other duties as a law enforcement officer take away from me being able to train him and exercise him. So he becomes very hyper. I am a field trainer. I am in a supervision role. So therefore, some days it's a little bit harder for me to be able to devote more time to him, or the call volume doesn't allow us to. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges, because one day is okay, but when you're doing it for 4 days, when I get home that I'm tired, that's when Scooby says, okay, it's my turn. You need to exercise me. We need to play. We need to train. So I think that's one of the biggest challenges, is just being able to balance it all and take care of all the duties I have to do.
So actually flopping a little bit, what is your favorite thing that you have? What's your favorite thing about having him as a partner? So we talked about some challenging, so what's your absolute most favorite thing, if you had to give one?
That I have him in the car with me.
Yeah, so he's a permanent partner. Like, he's got your back, right?
Yeah, absolutely. He's my ambush alert. Nobody gets near my car. He can attest to that.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, we just talked about how nice Scooby is, but when I walk past, Scooby's seen me 100,000 times. But if I walk past a car, I think he wants to.
Yeah,
come out.
If I were to put him in the car right now and we were to go outside, he would act like he's going to attack him because he loves his car. He's not. He just wants you to know you're too close to my car. So that is the one thing I love, is that I come to work with him. I'll go to training sometimes and be in my car without him, because I don't want him to sit in the car so long. And I actually hear noises in the back, and I'm like, Scooby, like, you kind of get used to having him with you, and you kind of miss that when he's not. So that's absolutely the number one thing that I would say I enjoy, and I will definitely miss when he retires.
Yeah. Which, I mean, how long, if you had to put a roundabout guess on how long you think this dog might work? And we know things happen. Things happen. We hope the dog stays healthy. Anything could happen. You could leave here right now and go to a very chaotic scene of a call, and unfortunately something could happen to Scooby. But if everything goes well, how long do you think Scooby could be working?
I hope it's another 3 to 4 years, but again, it all depends on his health. He's a big dog, which he is a Malinois mixed with a German Shepherd, so that kind of makes we're hoping, provides better health benefits with the hips. So he's still very young at heart, and he may get hurt every now and then, but he recovers really nicely. So I really think that another 3 years would be feasible with him.
And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not a canine handler, but some of that of him recovering fast and so easily is because he stays in shape and he's well trained, and he stays moving and active all the time. Correct?
We do make sure we follow up with our veterinarian as recommended. They all know our dogs. We just make sure that they're as healthy as they can be to be here at work and to train. And when we see something's wrong, we give them the rest they need. And of course, the heat. We have this awful heat, and this is when you don't want to be out there going 100 miles an hour with these dogs, because their body temperature, they're going to overheat very fast. We may look like we're okay, but they're not. And again, if you put your feet on the pavement right now and you're hot, can you imagine what they are? So
imagine the pads of their feet on that hot pavement. And take your shoes off and just stand there. You know how hot it is. Imagine when they're, and look at his fur. Put a fur coat on and stand outside today and tell me how you feel, right?
And he doesn't like to take a bath much, so.
We may have answered a little bit about this, but it says, are canine dogs well socialized, or are they against, or is that against training protocols? So we know they socialize a lot with your home, like your kids, your husband, your other dogs, but outside of that, is there a lot of socializing that goes on outside the police department?
Well, we take them out into the community and stuff, but we do always tell people not to pet our dogs. Again, our dogs are trained, but our dogs are also perceivers. So if they perceive something as a threat to us or to themselves, they might react just based on somebody's movement. So we prefer people not to touch them, pet them. They're not to be petted. We take them out, we demonstrate what they can do, and they're socialized that way, but not in the sense where everybody can just pet them, or we take them to the dog park and have them interact with a lot of dogs. We try to limit that.
Yeah. But we do come out and do canine demos for, various organizations or schools or summer camps. So, we're not saying that we don't come out and show the dogs off, but she is saying that we ask that because people love dogs. I love dogs, but people want to pet dogs because they love dogs. But these dogs aren't really to be petted because at this point they are working. They're in their middle of their work shift, and we train
them to protect their handler.
Correct.
So we just, to avoid anything that they might perceive as a threat, we just say, keep your distance and do not pet.
Exactly. Good point. So. A little bit aside from, a little off topic from the dog, which is okay, because guess what? This is all about Judy, guys. Judy Benitez is in the house. We should all be very thankful that she has blessed us with her presence. Which, by the way, side note, the host here is saying she was so nervous to come on my show, which she should be, because I told her she's going to have fun. Are you having fun, Judy?
Yes, I'm having fun.
All right. Looks like he's having fun, too. He's finally got up.
He's finally got up looking for something.
So what does Judy love most about her supervisory role? Because you are fairly still new in a supervisory role, and just, guys, peep them, because they're there. They're there. What you got to say about that? What's your favorite thing so far about being a supervisor?
The other officers I work with, my squad.
Okay.
I think that I've got a great group, and I enjoy being a mentor to them and helping them, and they help me be better at my job. So that I think that's what I love is my team.
You know what? That was a good answer. But I could tell it was real because I'm kind of with you on that. I remember when I became a supervisor, I was very fortunate to have a very good team around me, and that made it easy to ease into supervision, something I'd never done before. So kudos to you. Kudos to you.
Thank you.
Yay, Judy. That was the next one. So Ms. Smith, you are on it today. Good job. Thanks for all the questions so far. I told Judy we're not going to keep her here forever, but we are going to ask a few more questions. So we have a comment from Jason David. It says, she appears to be a born leader. Do you feel like you're a born leader?
I don't know how to answer that. Like, I've always strived to be helpful. And if I can help anyone with anything, I'm going to make that my mission. So I always want people to better themselves and be their best. So it's not that I was born a leader. I think I was born a caretaker. And I think that has developed into what people would say leader. So yeah, I think that's where I'm at.
Lieutenant's chiming in. How much training does a canine handler go through from basic certification all the way through your like monthly trainings and stuff. So start from the beginning. How long is basic school for you and Scooby?
So I got Scooby Scooby was brought over to the department, I believe, in August. And from the beginning, he spent some time with our master trainer.
Mm-hmm. Who's our master trainer?
Sergeant Robertson.
Very cool.
He takes the dogs and he starts their obedience training.
Mm-hmm.
He starts their imprinting if they're going to be narcotics detection dogs. He starts their imprinting on the tracking. Anything that they're gonna do, he starts them off of that, and he gets them to the point where now I need the person that's gonna work this dog, I need to train them to do the things with the dog. So I wanna say I went at the end of September, and there was still some imprinting being done, but this time I was assisting with the imprinting, and that's where I started my training, where the dog gets to learn my behavior and I get to learn his behavior. And that basically we did that we were done in December. I certified December 27th of 2017 with Scooby. So it was well over 3 months that it took for me to train with Scooby. And the total, it was about 4 months. And then after that, we still were training. We train as a team twice a month for about 6 or 7 hours, but on our own, we have to take the time and go out there and do the obedience, do the article search training, have another squad member lay a track for us. You always have to keep doing that. If you can do it daily, great, but I know that we have other duties and that's hard, so we have to commit to about 18 hours a month of training. And then on top of that, we have to go to an annual certification with our dogs.
Good segue. Keep going.
Yeah, that takes us a week. And that's a week of every day from 8 to 5. We're out there with our dogs, just either certifying or training. I can't tell you how many hours, but I'm always doing something with my dog.
Always.
The minute you open the car door, you're doing something with your dog, be it obedience, just anything. Take every opportunity with your dog as a training opportunity. That's the way we see it, because they have to constantly be training, and they constantly got to know that, hey, you're at work. You have to do what I tell you to do. Like, you have to continue performing.
Yeah. I mean, just like us.
Yes.
No, it's no different.
There isn't. We have to stay on top, and they have to stay agile and on top of their things as well.
So that was actually a really good segue. So as I mentioned at the beginning of our show, that you just got first place at trials, correct?
Scooby just placed first at
you're a team. You're a team.
We are a team, yes.
Corporal Benitez and Canine Scooby, ladies and gentlemen, placed first, and Sergeant Robertson placed second.
Correct.
This is overall.
Yes.
Out of how many canine handlers and pups?
It was about 25 teams.
Okay.
For the PD1 certification, which is where Scooby and I placed first.
And I believe there was a fourth? I'm confused. Who else got placed? I can't remember.
Corporal Bauer was placed fourth overall.
Very cool. Very cool. So what kind of things did you guys have to do? Like, what were some of the courses that you had to go through to be graded on, you and Scooby, during the trials?
So what we did was the Uspca regional trials. They were held in Waynesville, North Carolina. The first portion of trials is the police dog one. Basically, these are your patrol dogs, your apprehension dogs, your evidence detection dogs. So the first thing, I'll give you a breakdown of my first day. My first day, we had to do agility certificate. We had to qualify with the agility course. And basically, you go, Scooby has to jump over obstacles, climb, stay, come down when commanded. And this is basically, so we know that the dog is going to be able to perform his duties if he needed to jump over something, if we needed to climb a ladder, if he can listen when I say stay, come down. So that was the first portion, was the agility course. After that, we did our obedience. Obedience consists of us healing our dog, giving him commands while we're healing it at different paces, at fast paces, slow paces, moderate paces, giving him commands away from us at a distance to down, sit. That was our first day, basically, so that they know that your dog listens to you and knows what they're supposed to be doing. Then after that, it was the article search. Our dogs here at Garner can be sent out to look for evidence, article search. So basically, Scooby had to locate 2 articles and alert our dogs are passive, so he would go into a down position in front of the article while I retrieved it. So he completed that successfully. And then after that, it was the apprehension portion, which there's 2 parts to it. There is the apprehension without gunfire, where Scooby has to we go through a series of a recall where I will send my dog after the decoy, and let's say, well, wrong guy, no. I call my dog back. He successfully was able to recall and come back to me without apprehending the suspect. Another one is where the decoy just takes off running. Scooby has to stay with me because I didn't tell him he can go. He successfully did that. Then after that is when you actually tell him to go bite the decoy. And Scooby successfully apprehended the decoy, and they maintain engaged with the decoy until I tell them otherwise. So that's the first part of the apprehension portion. And then the second part is the gunfire one, where you are actually dealing with a suspect that has a firearm, and a round is in the trials, it's not a real round, but a blank is discharged, and the dog knows that this is a threat, so they go after the decoy. And then in that portion, while I search the decoy, there's an assault, and the dog, without being commanded, gets up and apprehends the decoy again, because at this point he's assaulted the handler. So these are the things that Scooby had to do. Oh, there was another part I missed, which was the box searches. Which would be if we were to search a building for a suspect, a house for a suspect. In trial, it is a box. Basically, there's a box where a person can actually fit in.
It's like a hollow box.
Yeah, it's a box where a person can fit into, and there's 6 of them, and you have to send your dog to find the suspect. And once they find the suspect, my dog alerts by barking at the box. So Scooby successfully was able to locate the suspect.
Wow.
So that's part of our police dog one. After that, there's a narcotics detection certification, and after that, there's a tracking certification. But that is separate and apart from the police dog one, PD one.
Well, it sounds like he did an amazing job.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Scooby and, of course, Corporal Benitez for all the training. Another quick question we have here, and I'm sure you could answer it. I know Sonny could do it too, obviously, but what qualities do you look for when selecting young canines? And then also it says, what early foundation skills do you develop for the canines? So when you guys go look for a new dog, like what are some of the things you look for?
The drive.
The drive?
The drive. We actually play with them with toys, be it tennis balls or Kongs, that they have that drive for that they're willing to do something for that toy. So that's your drive. When we want to test them, if they're going to track, your dog is going to smell the ground. It's going to be looking down. It's going to look like it has interest in trying to figure out what's on the ground.
Right.
Also, there's a where we went, there is a pit full of just plastic bottles. And we put the dogs in there basically to see how they respond to the environment. We walk.
You put them in this pit just full of this. Are they empty?
Yeah, they're
plastic
empty.
Bottles?
It's like little kids have a bouncy house full of balls.
Yeah.
Dogs have a little pool-looking thing full of plastic bottles.
That's pretty cool.
It's
funny,
pretty cool.
actually.
He loves it. This is why he loves plastic bottles.
Oh.
We'll walk him through different graded steps dark rooms, make noises, see how the dog reacts to those things. Because you're going to determine if your dog is skittish, if the dog is just going to be scared of everything and run away, or if the dog has the curiosity and the drive to go figure out, okay, what was that? What are we doing? You know, that's the kind of things you look for. Is the dog attentive? Is he driven? Is he healthy? Can he do can he walk up and down the stairs? The first dog we actually got for me, I don't know if you remember.
Oh, yeah, I think, yeah.
He was afraid of cars. So that's something that we wouldn't have been able to test there, but that we found out after we selected him. That was the only thing we figured out that he had that was going to be an issue, because we are we are officers and we do carry our dogs in our car, and it progressively just got worse. So it wasn't just like the first day jitters. It was, as the week went by, he hated the car more. So that was something that could have probably been worked out, but do we have the time to actually spend a month trying to fix that?
Right.
I think at that point we didn't, so we had to move on to our second choice. And not that Scooby was our second choice, he was actually sold, and that fell through for the other department, and we were able to acquire Scooby. So basically, just, is the dog going to be willing to do what you want it to do?
Right.
Listen to you, have the drive to stay focused and want to continue learning. Do they want to be trained, basically?
Gotcha. Very cool. So a lot of things go into this, guys.
Yeah.
A lot of things. Well, look, you are on duty. I told you I wouldn't keep you forever. You guys do have calls to take. Scooby, you got to go to work.
You gotta go to work, buddy.
But, two more things real quick. Okay. Where are you going?
Scooby's going to work.
It's not done, dude.
Down.
It's not done. Real quick, rapid fire. Let's see what's on your mind, okay?
Uh-oh.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Red or blue?
Blue.
Up or down?
Up.
Why up?
Why stay down?
Favorite food?
Pizza.
Really?
Oh, I'm from New York.
Puerto Rican.
I am.
You are Puerto Rican. Hot or cold?
Hot.
You don't like winter?
I'm from the Caribbean.
That's true. But you're from New York, I thought.
That's why I'm here.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Favorite color?
Blue.
How many kids you got?
Well, 3 total.
Okay, well, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You know a guy named Tony?
I know a guy named Tony.
Tony, if you're watching, we love you, buddy. What is your favorite movie of all time? If you could only watch one movie the rest of your life, what would it be?
Pretty Woman.
Really?
I love Julia Roberts.
I mean, she's cool, but
She's beautiful.
she is beautiful. I'll give you that. Favorite thing to do when you're not dealing with Scooby or the Garner Police Department?
And school, I'm in school too. Just hanging out with my husband and my kid, just chilling.
Just family time.
Yeah.
Okay. Very cool.
Relaxing time, yeah.
Relaxing time. Okay. All right. Well, I think I've bothered you enough. But real quick, I think we will be doing the citizens of Garner a disservice if we didn't show just a little bit of obedience.
Okay.
I mean, just a little bit. Obviously, we don't have the room to be doing any bites or anything like that, but maybe just show them simple commands, right? I want y'all to look at how this dog listens. I wish my kids listen like this, but they don't, but that's okay. I still love them. So take it over, Corporal Benitez and Canine Scooby. Yep, sticking with her. All right. Good job, Scooby. All right, guys. Well, look, thank you guys so much for tuning in to this episode of Chat with a Cop. Again, thank you, Corporal Benitez and Canine Scooby, for blessing us with your presence. Keep an eye out on social media. We will be announcing when the next one is. It'll be sometime in September, probably towards the end of September. But they usually do fall on Wednesdays at 10 a.m. So, thanks again, guys. And as always, be safe, take care of yourselves, and see you next time on the live.